winter's here, and second winter with no heat in the Nissan Altima 2005 2.5 CVTC. Now when we bought this car, this top rad hose was popping off right in here underneath this plastic, and if I go in here you can see how I fixed that. I put a clamp, I used the clamp and I fished a wire around it, and I put a piece of sheet metal. You can kind of see a little bit of that sheet metal in there. Bent it over the top of the rad, a couple of holes in it, and now this thing does not pop off anymore. But because it was doing that, air entered the cooling system, and it's very hard to get the air out of this cooling system. It's a real problem with these cars. So back here you've got this heater hose, and the metal tube you see below there, that rusty metal tube right here, is the return. And if you put your hand on it when it's running, the top hose, this rubber one, was warm, the bottom one was cold, very cold. So there was air in there, and I just fixed it, and I'm so happy that I was able to do that. I unclamped this, I plugged that with a cork from a wine bottle, and clamped on the garden hose. This is just a barb off of another hose, screwed onto the end of the garden hose. I put this little barb right here, right in that hose, clamped it on. This end was plugged, like I said, this housing, so no antifreeze was pouring out of there. Uncapped the rad, and then I turned the hose on, just cracked it a little bit, and pushed water through the heater core, and I could see it bubbling out of the top of here. Now you got to remember, this cooling system is designed for 5 to 10 psi. I think around that. Usually it says on the rad cap, but 1.1, that must be kilopascals or something. So I just had it cracked open, and a whole bunch of air bubbles came up through there. I just let it run for a little bit, so I think I've actually diluted the antifreeze in the cooling system, but doesn't matter because I drove it, just did a little test drive with it, and for the first time I have heat at a stop, just idling around slowly. We were getting some heat in this car last winter when we'd go on the highway. As soon as you come up to a red light or a stop sign or anything, it'd be just blowing ice cold air, because the at high revs, the water pump spins fast enough to just force a little bit of coolant through the heating system. Most of the time it's going through this upper rad hose here, and I guess there's not enough, because of that air bubble, and the cooling system is blocking the flow, so it's not allowing the fluid to flow. And I wasted my time yesterday. I spent a couple hours putting 2 new thermostats on this car. So there we go. 2 they might be original, I don't know, thermostats, and they have little holes in them. I followed the instructions that I got, and you got to place that little bleeder hole at the top. I did that on both of them. Here's the part numbers. I bought aftermarket Motor Rad, but cheap thermostats. Maybe I should have went to Nissan and bought the original parts, but I didn't think that was the problem, and I don't think it was the problem. So the problem all along was air in the system. So I just fixed it. I've got heat now, and I'm so freaking happy. Yeah. And so I thought I'd just do a video and talk about how I did it and try it. And remember, don't overpressurize your cooling system and break something. So keep the rad cap off and just crack the hose a little bit so a little bit of water's flowing, and get ready to shut it off immediately. Thanks for watching.